I'm going to tell you that you should start to try to integrate urban forestry concepts into all of those elements in the comprehensive plan as possible, if possible. Now, Mickey also mentioned earlier in her presentation that some communities, not enough probably, but some communities have done dedicated urban forestry elements in their comprehensive plan, which is great. There's one place you can go in the comprehensive plan to sort of understand all the materials and concepts that Mickey talked about earlier. But sometimes you need to hit the sweet spot for that decision maker, and that sweet spot the interest that decision maker may not be necessarily urban forestry per se. Their sweet spot, their interest might be efficiency, urban design, housing affordability, all sorts of things. So it's sometimes more effective or adds to the effectiveness of someone who's interested in urban forestry concepts being important in the community, supported in the community, to start to fold these urban forestry concepts into all the aspects of the community plan, of the comprehensive plan. So let's look at like a land use, and these are just a few ideas, just example ideas. They may be crude, but you can go back in your mind and think about the benefits of trees in the urban landscape that Mickey's been talking about for the last hour or so, and probably add things to the list, so I'm going to put up on the board for the next few minutes yourself. But just in the land use element, you could have policies that talk about creating a more attractive environment where you want to add density, where you want more people to live. Convince them that a higher density area is still an attractive area to live if it also has a good fabric of trees in it. Because one of the challenges of growth management is, and I remember when I talked about rural staying rural and urban becoming where most of the growth goes, that's an increase in density for many communities. How do we make increased density more attractive? Trees could be a big part of that. So does your land use element talk about that? Support attractiveness for more dense living by requiring concentration of trees, maybe in parks, as well as trees throughout the environment. Protect existing neighborhoods by identifying and protecting heritage trees. Most communities have as a high value protecting existing neighborhoods. I can probably pick out 20 comprehensive plans off the shelf for 20 different communities in the state of Washington, and you're going to find a statement in there somewhere about how the community values protecting existing neighborhoods. Well, you can probably protect existing neighborhoods by making sure the important trees in that neighborhood remain, because that's one of the things that people value most about those neighborhoods. So the land use element should maybe talk about things like this and a lot of other things probably. Housing element. Let's infuse a housing element with some of the benefits of trees as it pertains to housing concepts. Increase the attractiveness of existing housing areas. One of the things housing elements need to talk about is how to provide affordable housing, how to provide the housing stock just for the number of people that are coming in. And one of the ways to do that, one of the best ways to do that, is to make sure you're fully utilizing existing housing. And one of the ways to make existing housing areas attractive and continue to be viable is to make sure they have a good stock of trees in them. Add trees to residential areas to assist in energy efficiency, reducing the heat on the street, contribute to air quality. And once again, if you're trying to build residential areas that are attractive to people and serve a wide variety of housing types and all the goals of growth management regarding the housing, some of those concepts could probably be mentioned in your housing element. Protecting property values by either protecting the existing trees or requiring that trees be provided when new housing areas are built. Mickey talked about how trees increase the perceived value, the value of residential areas. There's probably a lot more I could add here. I just picked one. In the transportation element, Mickey talked about how trees are one of the best traffic calming techniques available to transportation planners. Unfortunately, they don't use them very often. They want to put speed bumps everywhere, but if they just put trees in an area, it could be one of the most effective ways to calm traffic, to slow down traffic where it needs to go slow for safety purposes and to make an area more attractive. And besides, those trees address all sorts of other values and serve all sorts of other purposes, so they become multi-purpose elements in that landscape. Capital facilities use trees to shade the pavement areas. We just talked about preserving the integrity of pavement areas. Now, if you've got an elected official who's really concerned about the budget for maintaining roads and streets in your community, and you start to talk to them about the role and the value of trees in reducing how often you have to repave streets, that speaks to that particular decision maker. Use low-impact development, LID, techniques, including trees where appropriate. Sometimes trees can be part of an LID environment. When you development standards, when you write development standards or build public projects, and that would be mentioned in your capital facilities element. Did I do any others? The environment element, there's so many openings here. I think I picked out, 2, and Mickey talked about a lot of various environmental benefits of trees, and so, those should be mentioned in the environment element. Economic development, we talked about making shopping areas more attractive. There's statistic after statistic and study after study, and Mickey mentioned some of these numbers that talk about retail areas that perform so much better when they have a tree canopy on the street. I don't need to belabor that, but why not talk about that in your economic development column? So here's kind of a real example. It starts out with that same vision statement, or almost that same vision statement from my example earlier. So you've got this vision statement. Community members have sat down together and they've written this thing, and it says, one thing that's really important to us is that our traditional small town downtown, some statement like that's in almost every comprehensive plan for any city under 100,000. We want to preserve our small town downtown, our quaint little downtown. Everyone wants that. They want it to be pedestrian oriented, comfortable for pedestrians to be in, attractive to people who want to walk and look at the shops. This is an extremely common value and goal all across the state, all across the country. So you've got a statement like that in your comprehensive plan. That's the vision. Then maybe you have a goal that says take steps to attract increased activity in the downtown area. Get people down there and keep them down there spending their money. Then you probably add a policy about some of the various ways you might do that particular thing. And once again, encourage and attractive retail development in the downtown area. That I could have put up 6 different policies that sort of embellish on the goal up above, goal TC1. That's Town Center 1, by the way. I mean, it's just a way some jurisdiction might number their goals and their policies and their comprehensive plan. So in the zoning code, maybe you require trees to be installed as part of new development, or maybe even as when you redevelop particular properties. So once again, this becomes a requirement, a development standard, consistent with the vision, the goals, the policies. The city might then decide that's an important way to spend our money, what little there is out there. Providing funding for street trees, installation, maintenance, the whole ball of wax, or some portion of it in partnership with private development, property owners. And maybe you also talk to, you think about who you partner with. And this is, once again, this is the same format I talked about earlier, but I was talking about a different concept, not urban trees. But you think about who you partner with and how you partner with those people in the context of urban trees and urban forestry. In this case, maybe working with the Downtown Association or downtown business owners to more fully inform them and educate them about the value of trees and the value of proper sizing. And Mickey talked about the relationship of the tree canopy to the signage friezes and to the view into the front window. And believe me, those property owners, those business owners want people's eyes directed to their front windows more than anything on earth. But so many of them do not understand the benefit of trees in the downtown, how it attracts people down to their shopping area, how it keeps people in the shopping area, how trees can be handled and managed properly so they're not an impediment, they're actually a benefit. But there's probably a need for education. So that's another thing that the local government can be involved in. So once again, the point here is to create policy level support for urban forestry. It needs to be integrated into the central policy document that guides decision makers in your community. And once again, you could do it with a dedicated urban forestry element, and should, go ahead. But it also would be more effective to integrate it fully into all the aspects of the comprehensive plan, or as many as it can be integrated into, and frankly, it's essentially all of the elements of a comprehensive plan. Because each decision maker has a different interest and different sweet spots, and besides that, you want a multifaceted argument in favor of good tree policy. Urban forestry has benefits that so this is the point. Urban forestry has benefits that coincide with virtually every value and goal of the community. Urban forestry can and should be folded into the comprehensive plan then in that same holistic manner. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate your time.